Rockets Warriors has been quite a chippy series, so it's only natural that after 5 games, dirty play has become the biggest topic of the series. There's only a couple of teams that are more enjoyable to watch lose than these guys. And speaking of losing causes, I'm still trying to figure out how this guy became a made man. I am Paul Gallant, and this is the Gallant Says podcast live.
A radio show host in Seattle called Paul Gallant.
Paul Gallant's wondering the same things a lot of people wonder.
You are definitely living in the hindsight world today, Paul.
Do you feel there's been a consistent theme with the interceptions?
I think every interception really has a different story.
I was just kind of curious what Paul gets to say.
Are you kidding me? Paul Gallant, what the hell is wrong with you?
Hello and welcome aboard the Gallant Says podcast. It is Thursday, May 1st, 2025, live on YouTube at Paul Gallant, on Twitch at Gallant Says, on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, also at Gallant Says, on Instagram at Sports Gallant, on Facebook at Paul Gallant Sports. You can catch it Monday through Friday around 4 p.m. Central Time. Shut up. I know it's not 4 p.m. Central Time. I'm trying so hard. We're not quite there yet. Eventually, we might get there. It's also occasionally on after major Houston sporting events like last night's Rockets Warriors Game 5. It's available after the fact wherever you get your podcasts, Apple and Spotify. If you haven't subscribed, rated, and reviewed already, or like this video, or subscribe to this channel, blah, 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 blah. Honestly, I take it as a personal affront. And I feel like you may or may not want my little kitty cat, Arya, to starve. What if I told you it was a dog? If I told you my cat was a dog, would you do all of those things that I just asked for you to do? I'm not too proud to beg. If you want to cut me off mid-thought, YouTube's the best way to watch this bad boy. And if you super chat me, guess what happens?
Paul, stop talking. Listen.
You hear from former Houston Texan Wade Smith, who one time on the Texans flagship told me to shut up. I'll eventually get to your comments, but you get to hear that, and then I'll answer you right away. You just have to bribe me. I have a question. This is for both Houston Rockets fans and for Golden State Warriors fans. The Rockets wear red like the Bloods. The Golden State Warriors wear blue like the Crips. Can we reenact that picture where there's the red bandana tied with the blue bandana? Can we come to a peace agreement on this? Can we stop bitching about what side's been dirty in Rockets Warriors, and for a change, actually enjoy a series of physical basketball, the basketball we've all been dying to see since the 1990s? So we claim. I'm not going to. But I will take a look at both of these sides pointing fingers at one another and calling the other person dirty, no good, meanie pants when they're playing basketball. The most recent incident in a series that has involved a lot of shoving, pushing, Dillon Brooks, melees, not quite melees, etc., was started by the Golden State Warriors broadcast. And look, every single local broadcast on television is generally biased. You know, you definitely had that experience with Bill Worrell back in the day. I used to call the people that would get pissy at the refs the Worrell Army, because Bill Worrell, Rockets legend, but a guy who would fixate along with Matt Bullard on bad calls by the referees, would constantly point it out. I know growing up in Massachusetts, my Boston Celtics had Tommy Heinsohn, RIP, on the call. Tommy Heinsohn was like a drunk person with the color commentary. And I mean, this is a Boston thing. There's a lot of biased local broadcasters. Jack Edwards with hockey, the late Johnny Most with the basketball radio side of things. Like, bias is part of the local broadcast. But the Warriors are considered one of the worst broadcasts nationally on a year-by-year basis, and they, through some shit on top of what's been a bit of a shitstorm already, a little gasoline on top of the fire, accusing the Houston Rockets, our beloved Houston Rockets, of being dirty in the midst of Game 5. In case you didn't hear it, here's what happened.
They're targeting Curry's thumb. The whack on the right hand, that happened multiple times. They know he's been injured there.
For those who don't know, Steph Curry is dealing with a janky-looking thumb. I mean, it's pretty gruesome. If you haven't seen it, take a look right here. Whoa! Enhance. Is that a golf ball above his thumb? Good googly moogly. That looks like it's not fun to play with. And it would explain why over the last 2 games, Steph Curry has perhaps not looked himself. So the Warriors broadcast accused the Rockets of going after that thumb, which led to all sorts of interesting questions and answers after last night's Rockets-Warriors game, which I left early because, look, as excited as I was about how the Rockets looked to open the game and as frustrated as I was with how the Rockets backups let the Warriors backups push them around and the Rockets starters let the Warriors backups push them around for a little bit, I figured, you know what? The more important quotes are going to come after Game 6 and potentially after Game 7. Say the Rockets somehow pull off an upset tomorrow night, beat the Warriors, and force Game 7. So I didn't stick around to watch, but a lot of interesting things were said. Ime Udoka, the head coach of the Houston Rockets, was asked about the accusations by the Warriors broadcast. Shout out to whatever reporter asked this question. I'm guessing he is a Warriors broadcaster.
Hell of a job tonight.
Ime here, one of the Warriors broadcasters tonight on the broadcast accused Dillon Brooks of intentionally swiping at Curry's right thumb. How would you respond to that?
I wouldn't.
Love it. Belichickian. How would you respond to that? I wouldn't. And I wish that everybody handled it this way. I really do. Because I'm enjoying the physical play in this series, and I think Warriors fans should feel the same way about it. I like that there's some shoving. I think basketball's gotten too finesse. There's so much flopping going on, and as somebody who likes a little football in his basketball, who loves the way the Houston Cougars play on a college basketball level, and who loves the way the Rockets play, I can respect that the Warriors do some of the same stuff. I don't like the flopping that Jimmy Butler does, but Alperen Sengun does some of the same stuff. You know, I'm trying to be fair and balanced here. But Steve Kerr, who's always a little sanctimonious and sometimes patronizing when you ask him questions, answered this question in a different way. It seems that he is of the mindset that the Rockets know exactly what they are doing because of a loophole in the NBA's rule book. Here is the head coach of the Golden State Warriors after last night's game talking about said rule.
Yeah, so, you know, the rule, the NBA is once the shot has been released, you're allowed to hit the guy's arm. And so what's happened in the league this year is players always they're going to outsmart, you know, the rules. They know what they're doing. So players all over the league are just taking shots at guys' shooting hands after release because they know it's not going to be a foul. And I'm very confident that next year the league will fix it.
That part's annoying. Is he implying that Steph Curry's injury is going to be the reason that they change things up? A little entitled there, more Steve Kerr.
Because it's only a matter of time before somebody, you know, breaks a thumb or breaks a hand or whatever. But these are the rules. I do believe they're allowed to call a flagrant if they want.
He wanted them to call a flagrant there.
Refs could call a flagrant if the guy winds up and takes a shot. But
which he thinks Dillon Brooks did based off of the way he's talking about it.
No, it's been happening across the league all year long. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But
the dumbest thing you've ever heard. Okay. Hyperbole, but trying to make a point.
You know, we have to take it through the league process to get that changed, and that'll probably happen this summer, I would guess.
Again, he's pushing for it to happen. He's lobbying on the fly. Not quite as sanctimonious and patronizing as he was earlier in the series. For those who missed this, remember the fuck Draymond chants in the midst of Rockets Warriors Game 2 at Toyota Center, to which Draymond said that's not even original. I thought Draymond handled it pretty well, but Steve Kerr instead said, think about the children! Just like this, in case you missed it.
It's not ideal when a crowd is, chanting F you, Draymond. It's just, I don't know. I mean, it did in Boston a few years ago in the finals. It is what it is. He's been around forever. He's an instigator. He's always going to be in the mix. And because of his career, his championships, his fire, he's going to be a lightning rod, and that's all part of it. I would prefer, if fans could use a little more discretion and, remember that, the guy has kids and,
Yes, Draymond has kids, but do you think his play is a good example for his kids? Come on. I mean, the stuff that he was doing in Game 2, the leg on top of Tari Eason's head, come on. What are we doing here? Draymond is a habitual line stepper. I actually enjoy that about Draymond Green, just like I enjoyed about Dillon Brooks. But think about the children to stop people from saying, fuck Draymond is lame. Steve Kerr wrapping up this answer.
Like there's kids, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, yes, you do. You're being sanctimonious. You're talking down to us like you're Greg Popovich.
Maybe I'm old school, but I'm all for the fans cheering for their team. And if they want to yell at the opponents, great. But I don't know. I just think FU it's a little much.
Well,
it's not.
Listen, Steve, it's a word. Oh, the profanity. I mean, I suppose that there could have been something more original. Maybe Draymond had a point. FU Draymond could have been better than that. But spare me, Steve. More conversation after Rockets Warriors Game 5 about the idea that Dillon Brooks and other Houston Rockets are potentially trying to further injure Stephen Curry's thumb. Let's now go to not a scene from the Metro Matrix or from the SNL skit Sprocket from back in the day. This is all time. You guys got to take a look at Dillon Brooks and Alperen Şengün. If you are not watching along, you are missing half of the theatrics here. Here's Dillon talking about the accusations of dirty play.
Dillon, one of the Warriors broadcasters tonight said he thought you were intentionally trying to swipe down on Curry's thumb, and Kerr was asked about it and said it happens around the league, that it's allowed by the rules, so players throughout the league do that. What do you think about that?
No, I've been
Before Dillon answers, look at Şengün. She's got the double-breasted jacket, I'm guessing a tank top on, and the glasses. I mean, this man looks like he is about to offer us some cocaine. That's how he's dressing. Dillon Brooks looks like he's about to ask us if we want to go watch some jazz later. He also looks like a Stevie Wonder cosplayer. A little bit, just a little bit. Anyway, here's Dillon Brooks' answer. And I mean, Dillon Brooks, this series, give him credit. This guy would be perfect for WWE because whenever he has had a chance to tone down a situation, he has thrown gasoline on top of the fire. When it comes to the F. Draymond chants, good. When it comes to, hey, Amen Thompson, did he hurt Jimmy Butler? He's saying, oh, how about Draymond Green throwing him into Butler? More from Dillon Brooks.
Playing the game. Shoot. If you're gonna come play the game injured or whatever you got, it's all about the game. You know, if I had an injured ankle, I would attack that ankle every single time.
He's so funny. If I had an injured ankle, I would attack that every single time. I mean, he's basically confessing to the crime here without confessing to the crime. This is like Omar in court in season 2 of The Wire, testifying against Bird.
So, whatever they're saying on the broadcast, they can keep saying it.
Whatever they're saying on the broadcast, they can keep saying it. I imagine the Warriors broadcast will keep saying it. DeRhino on the Twitch says, Şengün looks like one of the club dancers from Saturday Night Live. Cues, what is love? What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. Shredder comments, Paul, you need to get George to wear that Alpy outfit on the next show. We should. So it is the Paul Gallant Show now on the radio. But Joe, who I know stopped by the Instagram a little bit earlier, is still a part of the ESPN 97.5 and 92.5 family. So maybe we could have Joe George come in someday looking like that. Honestly, it'd be impressive. It is a look, though. One more time. Unbelievable. That is fantastic stuff. Anyway. Continuing, it's the fallout from Rockets, Warriors, game number 2. Excuse me, not game 2. Game 5 continues. Draymond Green was also asked about the accusations in this game. And I'm having some technical difficulties here. Here he is giving a very interesting answer where he tightropes on the fine line of, I don't really care about the dirty things that I see happening because it's not that big of a deal, but dirty things are happening.
Draymond, Steve mentioned he knows that defenders, when they're closing out, they're trying to like almost hit Steph's thumb as he's shooting. Have you noticed that, or how much have you seen that, especially in these playoffs?
Yeah, I noticed it. I think it's pretty obvious, but it is what it is.
I noticed it. It's pretty obvious, but it is what it is. So he sees what's happening, but he doesn't think it's an issue. I think we all know why. More Draymond.
Yeah. Do you think the league should crack down on it at all?
I'm not one to come to cry to you about what the league should do. I see enough people cry about me.
He brings it back to him. Love it.
And I lose respect for those people when they cry about me, so I will not allow somebody to lose respect for me over that. It's all good.
There's Draymond Green. There's something about Draymond Green that I do enjoy. I'm not going to lie. Paul, what the hell, man? You're supposed to be pro-Rockets here. I mean, listen, I've always enjoyed the Warriors. Maybe I don't like their fans as much these days, but yeah, it's a funny answer from Draymond, who knows that if we look a little bit further at Draymond Green, that we would go to this specific moment back in 2017 where I believe it's Craig Ackerman on the call and Nat Bullard call out Draymond for, in the midst of a game, punching James Harden in the wrist.
Draymond Green, oh yeah, he just hammers James on that wrist. That same wrist that James has been struggling with.
In case you didn't see it, let's go back to the slow motion replay here. See right here? Slowly moving through it. There is Draymond Green, and bop! One more time in case you didn't see it. Draymond Green goes bop! Now, I guess it's freezing a little bit here, but one more time. Draymond Green, bop! Pow! Right in the wrist. Pow! Right in the wrist. And the funny thing is, after the fact, this is an article from ESPN.com. Draymond didn't even try to hide that he did it. This is a Calvin Watkins article from April 1st of 2017. The headline, Draymond Green, James Harden pinched me, so I punched his wrist. Oakland, California. Houston Rockets guard James Harden said he was punched on his sore left wrist by Golden State Warriors forward Draymond Green in the third quarter of Friday's game, an act that Green acknowledged he committed. Quote, I thought it was a closed fist. I don't know. I don't know what the referee saw. Harden jammed his left wrist March 18th when he took a nasty spill at Denver. Green claimed he punched Harden's wrist Friday because Harden was pinching him in the stomach area. That's kind of weird, honestly. I think it's weirder that Harden pinched his stomach area than it is that Green smacked the wrist. He pinched me, so I punched his wrist, Green said. That's pretty much it. He does it often, actually, which is kind of adolescent, but whatever. Okay. James Harden is a belly pincher. What a strange term. Almost sounds like a homophobic slur. I see a lot of comments here on YouTube. GT Parker. The Warriors call the Rockets dirty, the team infamously known for dirty play. Higher Heights, the Rockets get accused of something every time they won. Blah, blah, blah. Anthony Garcia, Warriors are a bunch of bitches. Brandon Hallam, Warriors are soft. Confirmed. But I do want to acknowledge that Steph Curry, who again is dealing with this shit. Look at that. Ow! Ow! That's a fucking golf ball where his knuckle should be. Let's compare it. Wait, hang on. Can you guys see it? That's what my thumb is. That's his thumb. My thumb, his thumb. My thumb. I got a bony looking thumb comparatively. His thumb. My thumb. His thumb. Okay, that's not what a thumb's supposed to look like. But to Steph's credit, Steph has not been a bitch about this thumb. Here's Steph being asked about his thumb after the game. And I give him a lot of credit for this answer.
What's the state of your thumb right now?
Cold.
There was a picture, I don't know if you've seen it online, where it looks pretty swollen. I think it was with you walking to the plane.
I got the feds on me? What are you talking about?
No, the internet is the feds at this point.
I love this league so much. I love it so much.
How is your thumb? Besides cold because you're icing it.
I don't even know how to answer it. It's just something you're dealing with and you keep it moving. As long as I can play. You got to rap for a reason, but that's it.
Do you feel it's impacting your game at all?
No. No. Not at all.
I disagree. I think it is affecting his play. I like how he's coy about it. He's acting like, wait, I'm injured? Probably trying to protect himself a little bit in case the Rockets continue to do what the Warriors are accusing them of doing. But he also is saying that it's not affecting his play. There's some honor in that. Now, I do think there's also an element of this, of perhaps something that Giannis Antetokounmpo said when talking about the incident between he and Tyrese Halliburton's dad. In case you missed that, here is just a hilarious quote from Giannis Antetokounmpo.
I'm not the guy that points fingers because in my neighborhood, snitches get stitches.
I love the way he said it. One more time.
I'm not the guy that points fingers because in my neighborhood, snitches get stitches.
Love it. Snitches get stitches in Giannis's neighborhood. And I mean, you know where Giannis is from? Giannis is from the streets of Athens. You don't want to fuck around there. So Steph isn't accusing anybody of going after his wrist. In this moment right here, he's acting like, first off, like, I'm not hurt. Second off, he's not snitching on himself. Second off, he's saying it's not affecting my play. Not blaming the sore wrist for his issues. And then here, when asked about the idea that the Warriors broadcasters brought to light that the Rockets are purposefully going after his wrist, here he is, not throwing the Rockets under the bus, though perhaps he wanted to here.
How cognizant are you about the way that they're closing out on your jump shot, particularly, swiping down on your thumb?
You don't think about it. If it's a foul, they should call it. That's it. If it's a foul, they should call it.
Maybe that second time is him claiming or implying that it's a foul. It's the implication. But once again, I like that Steph Curry is living up to a code that Giannis taught us just the other day.
I'm not the guy that points fingers because in my neighborhood, snitches get stitches.
Look at the smirk on his face when he says that. I mean, it's kind of psychotic, no? In my neighborhood, snitches get stitches. Jesus. A little scary from Giannis Antetokounmpo right there. So look, to wrap up the pointing of fingers that's been taking place in Rockets Warriors, between what the Warriors think the Rockets are doing to Steph Curry, between Alperen Şengün at the end of last night's game against Pat Spencer, who gave him a little headbutt after Şengün had shoved him because Spencer had shoved Dillon Brooks and was chirping a little bit too much. And then Tracy Jackson-Davis steps in and he shoves him. And Dillon Brooks and Jimmy Butler, they're back and forth. Also, Dillon Brooks back and forth with many Warriors. And Draymond Green against Tari Eason. Draymond Green against many Rockets. This has been a really fun, physical series. I love watching this. And okay, you can get mad at the other team for doing what they're doing, but acknowledge that your team is also doing that. This is to both Rockets fans and Warriors fans. And it's good. This is awesome to watch. I'm having the time of my life watching this series. Regardless of outcome, obviously I want the Rockets to win, but it's been fun. I like a little football in my basketball. I like it when teams don't like each other, and these teams clearly do not like each other. Much like Bucks Pacers, the teams do not like each other. We need a little more of that in basketball. It makes for a more entertaining product if the guys aren't all buddy-buddy with one another. You do want a little wrestling in your basketball too. We're getting that. So I think everyone should take a step back and instead of pointing fingers, oh, he's being dirty, oh, he's being dirty, just acknowledge that this is the 90s basketball that we have been dying to have back for a while. 80s basketball, maybe even. This is Celtics Pistons. This is Pistons Bulls. This is Celtics Lakers. This is awesome to watch. Can we stop being little pussy bitches constantly crying about physicality that's taking place in the game? These are all grown men. They're tough men. Jalen Green getting banged up, coming back in there. Steph Curry playing through a busted thumb. It's been fucking awesome to watch all of this. Stop whining about who's being dirty. It's unbecoming. Can we not make this sport softer than it already is? It's awesome. So there you go. Let's read some comments here before we move on to our next topic. On YouTube at Paul Gallant, on Twitch at Gallant Says, on Facebook, Paul Gallant Sports, on Instagram at Sports Gallant, and on Twitter /X at Gallant Says. Shredder going back to Steve Kerr a little bit earlier, talking about the F Draymond chants. Wonder how many times Kerr uses F-bombs during games. That's a good question. I actually wonder if Steve Kerr doesn't cuss. I'm assuming he does. I assume everyone cusses. But the way that he talks about it right there, I mean, you would be a little bit hypocritical if you don't do that. Or if you do, perhaps say a potty word? What the hell does that even mean, Paul? As far as Alperen Şengün and Dillon Brooks a little bit ago, I can't get enough of the way that Şengün looks here. This is just quite the look. Shredder says he looks like the Dick in a Box sketch from Saturday Night Live. That is a great comparison. Higher Height says he looks like a Miami Vice character. Some more comments here from Gilbert. I hope that Jalen Green shows up tomorrow, and please God, 70% at least from the free throw line. I agree there. Shredder also says belly pinching by James Harden isn't exactly a basketball move. Nope, it's not. And DQ on YouTube and DeRhino on Twitch both agree with me. Stop crying, it's the playoffs. Hell yeah. Pussy bitches are the worst, says DeRhino. I just don't want that in basketball, you know? This is why I like football. This is why I like basketball. There's an element of physicality to it. Maybe less so in basketball, but, you know, it's just annoying. Whenever I play a pickup basketball game, people get mad at me because I shove a little bit too much. And, okay, maybe I am playing it as if I'm not 36 years old and could potentially get injured at any moment in time, and the players I'm playing with could potentially get injured at any moment in time. And it has been actually just a while since I've played a game of pickup basketball, now that I think about it. Honestly, I think the last time I played it might have been in Seattle. And people got really mad at me because I was boxing people out. It's like, oh, sorry, my bad. I elbowed you in the face. Oh, well, I didn't mean to do it. But I like the physicality of basketball, and it's weird that the sport has been moving away from that direction. You know, you play pickup games with big guys, and they don't want to get down low in the post and shove people around, and they're like 6'4", 6'5". Why don't you want to be in there? Oh, I want to shoot from outside. You're like a 20% shooter. Use your size. No one's tall who plays pickup basketball. Brandon Halam comments on YouTube, can we sub in Aziz Al-Shaair for 3 minutes and sort out this whole Draymond and Curry thing? I don't know, man. I mean, Draymond's bigger than Al-Shaair. The thing that you forget about NFL players versus NBA players is the size discrepancy. Aziz Al-Shaair, and I'm going to look this up, I don't think Aziz Al-Shaair is that tall. I'm going to guess Aziz Al-Shaair is like a inch or two taller than me. Okay, he's about 3 inches. 2 inches on a good day when my hair's all floofy. He's 6'2" per artificial intelligence. So there you go. Shredder comments, Draymond is basically a hockey player from the hood. I don't know, man. I just think he's this era of NBA basketball's Bill Laimbeer, to be perfectly honest. Anyway, listen, I think the people who are bitching and moaning about the physicality in this series, who's being dirty, I think they're losers. And speaking of losers, how about the Los Angeles Lakers? Am I right? Being a many-time sports champion, you know, I root for the Patriots growing up, 6 Super Bowls. Always been a Florida Gator football fan. That's 2 national titles. Celtics fan, that's 2 titles. I was a Red Sox fan, that was 4 titles, but then they pissed me off, so I became an Astros fan. So that's 2 titles. And then Syracuse won a title in 2003. I didn't like Syracuse then, but screw it, I'll claim it. And I do like the Tampa Bay Lightning. How many Stanley Cups have they won? Off the top of my head, I don't even know. So like, I'm a many-time champion. I've lost track of all the championships, and seeing as I cover sports, it's hard for me to get it up when it comes to sports fandom. It's hard for me to get excited about sports. Speaking of getting it up, rizehealth.com, RIIZE health.com, promo code 975 for 20% off rapid dissolve strips. Hell yeah. But there are a few times a year where a team that I despise loses, and it gets me going. It gives me that sports pants tent that I'm dying for. These are the teams that do that for me. The New York Yankees, the New York Jets, the Indianapolis Colts, and the Los Angeles Lakers, who got their asses kicked last night. And I mean, the crash out for the Lakers has been beautiful. Let's start with JJ Redick, who had himself a little tantrum after this wasn't even after. This was before the game. Game 5, down 3-1 against the Minnesota Timberwolves yesterday.
As you watch the film, what do you recall about your thought process in the moment? Sticking with the 5 you stuck with in the fourth quarter the other day. And is there an assistant or someone maybe that you'll lean on tonight, maybe to try to get some other guys involved if that opportunity presents itself?
Are you saying that because I'm inexperienced and that was an inexperienced decision that I made? Do you think I don't talk to my assistants about substitutions every single timeout?
No, I just think there's a lot of coaches lean on their assistants in those situations.
As do I, every single time. That's a weird assumption.
Thank you, Coach.
I like the thank you, Coach, at the end there. What a fucking baby. What a baby. I say that as someone who is a fan of the Boston Celtics. I mean, how many people paid attention to the second guessing going on in Boston when Joe Mazzulla took over for Ime Udoka? I'm going to show you a funny post that I saw on X/Twitter from somebody else who I know who is a fan of the Boston Celtics, because this is dead on right here. I truly can't believe that Redick reacted like that to this question. Here is this post. This is from @ColeyMick. Joe Mazzulla got asked if he knew what timeouts were every day for 2 years and didn't melt down like this once. Built different. And by the way, we're talking about an incredibly soft Los Angeles Lakers beat. Did you see some of the questions that LeBron James was getting after their season came to an end? I mean, this is fucking pathetic. Here is the first question asked of LeBron James. LeBron's answer doesn't matter. Everyone in LA and everyone who's ever covered him is going to treat him like the king that he calls himself, which I think is anti-American. I'm not even going to dump on LeBron here. Just listen to these fucking questions that are being asked by the LA media that JJ Redick is getting all pissed off about.
Especially considering everything that he's overcome.
Number one.
He was asked a question here. The question got cut off, and I apologize for that. LeBron was asked a question about, like, how proud are you to have played with your son? Is this like your number one accomplishment? And here is LeBron's actual answer here. Apologies for the question getting cut off.
With everything that you've accomplished, where does playing alongside your son rank, especially considering everything that he's overcome?
Number one.
Okay, so there's the actual full question there. Just embarrassing. These are the kind of questions that he gets. And this wasn't the only one. Here's another question being asked of LeBron James after the Lakers season came to an end. It's just so kiss ass.
On him. Basically from mid-January on, right when AD got injured, you guys started playing a lot of centerless basketball, and that required a lot from you and Doe and Rui and then Vando once he got back. Just from a physical, like, taxing standpoint, how tough was that for the last 3.5 months to play that style, and do you feel like that caught up at all in this series?
What an ass kiss of a question. Hey, you guys traded for Luka Doncic. You know, but, like, you didn't have a center for a while. And I mean, that must have sucked. That's basically the question that was asked there. And I know who that guy is, Dave McMenamin, Syracuse guy. What's up with the kiss-ass questions that the Lakers beat's given? Well, and JJ Redick can't handle a few softballs like that. Hey, JJ, what you doing out there, buddy boy? Why are you playing some rando that no one's heard of in closing time against the Timberwolves last night? Like, we didn't even play his answer to that question. These are the questions that the Lakers get asked. It is a soft-ass market. It ain't Boston. It ain't New York. And JJ Redick can't handle a fucking press conference? Jesus. Here is more of the questions that the Lakers beat asks LeBron James.
How many more years will we see you play?
Oh, no. Now he's going to make it about himself.
I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. Something I'll sit down with my family, my wife, and my support group and kind of just talk through it and see what happens. And then just have a conversation with myself on how long.
Okay, I'm done. I'm sorry, LeBron. I know the season's over. You got to make it about yourself somehow. And now there's going to be will he or won't he retire after his answer to that question. No one's going to talk about the fact that he's 2-12 in his last 14 playoff games. That's fine. That's fine. It doesn't have to be about that. Okay, I get it. I just love that the Lakers fucking lost, and that 1, JJ Redick can't handle a simple question. 2, Luka Doncic is looking like a fatty boom batty defensively. I think he's a disgrace to basketball, Doncic is. I really do. He is the new version of James Harden. He doesn't play defense. He flops. He whines all game long. I lost all respect for him in that finals against the Celtics this past year. So to see him just getting absolutely cooked by the Timberwolves was awesome. As was it to see the Lakers go down because Rudy Gobert was pow, 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 beating the shit out of them. What did he have, 27 and 24? Oh, beautiful. Because I hate watching the Lakers. I hate them with a passion. And watching the Lakers fail seeing as all my teams have won all the time, is like one of the few things that gets it up for me. I'm a middle-aged person that's now endorsing boner strips. RiseHealth.com, promo code 975. That's what I'm doing now. So I need help, getting to where I need to go. I've got gray in my hair. I'm 36. And from a sports perspective, what gets me going is watching the Yankees, Jets, Colts, and Lakers take the big fat L. R got no J, my friend RJ used to work at 97.5 with me, says, Paul, can you leave my Lakers alone? Abso-fucking-lutely not. I love watching them roll around in the shit that they made for themselves. Let's keep going. How about the Lakers trolling, the Minnesota Timberwolves trolling the Lakers after last night's victory? Here they are showing a clip of the 2020 NBA draft where the Lakers drafted Jaden McDaniels, who was a key contributor for the Wolves.
With the 28th pick in the 2020 NBA draft, the Los Angeles Lakers select Jaden McDaniels from the University of Washington.
Second Husky to beat. Pandemic draft was weird. But anyway, look, for those who don't know, technically the Timberwolves drafted Jaden McDaniels, but because the NBA draft is weird and draft picks don't swap hands on draft night, they should change it. They should make it like the NFL. I don't know why they haven't already, but the Timberwolves had essentially acquired that pick via a trade. The Lakers made the pick with pick number 28 for them. So basically, McDaniels was traded to the Thunder for Dennis Schroeder and then to the Timberwolves. It's very strange. I wish that they would just change the NBA draft, because basically this implies that Jaden McDaniels was traded from the Lakers to the Timberwolves, but when in reality the Lakers just drafted him for the Timberwolves, So anyway, the Timberwolves, who are one of the worst organizations in the history of basketball, I think it's pretty funny that they were trolling the Lakers as much as they were last night. And we're not done. Here's more Laker trolling. Excuse me. Here's more Timberwolf trolling of the Lakers. I keep on doing it in the wrong order. They played some clips from the television show Starting Five on Netflix. Specifically, a couple of quotes from LeBron James and then Anthony Edwards.
If there was somebody on the floor that I felt was in better condition or was better fit for the moment than me, then I could possibly sit down for a little longer. I have not seen that yet. I do not look.
Oof. Well, I think you might have finally seen it with Anthony Edwards, and I really enjoy Anthony Edwards. The fact that Edwards, who is smaller than LeBron, was constantly shoving him and pushing him all series long was fantastic to see. More from Starting Five. Here is now Anthony Edwards.
I do not look up to anybody in the league right now, currently, not at all. Yeah, not the slightest. Yeah, I want to cook LeBron one-on-one. Like, who don't?
Love it. Anthony Edwards got that dog in him. By the way, he is 23 years old. Yeah, so is Jalen Green. And there's obviously a little bit of a discrepancy between those two as far as where they are currently in their careers. But I love watching the Lakers lose. I hope that you do too. Let's read some comments here before we wrap it up with our final topic. Shredder comments, Paul, your point about drama making games more entertaining is true. Ron Artest and Kobe getting back into it in the 2009 playoff run. Yeah, hell, I remember Ron Artest and Paul Pierce getting into it. Ron Artest used to pull Paul Pierce's pants down in Celtics Pacers games back in the day. Shredder continues, the NBA is more fun to watch when teams and fan bases clash. More comments. Let's go to Instagram on @SportsGallant. Archadamus Picks says, JJ Redick's playing the role. He's watched too many Bill Belichick press conferences, perhaps. I mean, a year ago, though, he was calling out Doc Rivers for no accountability for losing. And I think either today or yesterday in the post-game press conference, he was acting like, well, it takes a little bit of time to get things going. You have LeBron and Luka, like, figure it fucking out. And he definitely heavily implied that Luka Doncic needs to be in better shape next year. Okay, we'll see if that actually happens. Archadamus Picks continues by saying they were putting the ball on a tee for LeBron. That is true. He also brings up the stats, 28 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds. Not bad for Luka. Any team would take that without defense. That's fine if you would take it, but it's unacceptable that he doesn't play it. And if you do not want to be thought of as your decade's James Harden, you got to be in better shape. And you got to put in more effort playing a little bit of defense. Just a little bit. You can't have everyone on the Timberwolves looking at you and targeting you and going after you. And then the flopping and all that bullshit. I just can't stand it. I think it lacks honor. I have no respect for it in basketball. I don't care how good of a scorer you are. If you're crying and flopping and not playing defense on top of that, fuck you. That's my thought as a fan. I hate that shit. Avi Lieberman Comedy asks this question. Hi, Paul. Side note, that's the greatest baseball mind in Houston. That is true. Do you think Isaac Paredes is filling in nicely for new Hamas member, because he's on the Red Sox, I guess, Alex Bregman sufficiently? I know you made that joke before, Avi. I mean, he's not quite Bregman. I don't know what Bregman's numbers currently are, and I'll be honest, like, until the NBA playoffs are done, my Astros attention will be minimal until the Rockets are out. But I think that Paredes has been doing a pretty good job as a hitter. Archadamus comments, defensively, yes. Offensively, no. He's made every play hit at him this season with no errors. Avi Lieberman back to Archadamus says, agreed, but knowing he's not the same offensive player, how much has we lost? His offense hasn't been that bad. I mean, he has been a contributor, but it feels like he is better at Dyken Park than he is on the road. So there you go. Shalando says, I would trade Jalen Green for Luka Doncic. Yeah, well, fuck yeah. Of course you would. Of course. We'll see how Jalen does. One last topic, and by the way, guys, this podcast is going to be a little political from time to time, okay? And I want everyone to know that I respect all opinions, but I do have my own. Okay? Okay. So I saw a clip that went viral yesterday. And it's one of those clips that you see and you just wonder how there are so many politicians out there who lack any authenticity whatsoever. This might be news to politicians, but authenticity has to be authentic. So who am I about to talk about? I'm about to talk about former vice presidential candidate Tim Walz, who apparently is still a part of the great political game. He is currently on a national tour stop, whatever that means. He's being very transparent on this national tour stop, but he's also revealing that he wasn't authentic, which is ironic because the entire reason that he was tabbed to be vice president for Kamala Harris, as the Democratic Party sloppily put that together, was because he's supposedly authentic. I believe the terms were that he is folksy and relatable on TV. Well, here he is at the very least being transparent and honest about what his role was supposed to be when he was put on the ticket at, I guess, some sort of speaking engagement at the Harvard Kennedy School Institute of Politics earlier this week.
I also was on the ticket, quite honestly, because I could code talk to white guys watching football, fixing their truck.
I can code talk. What the fuck does code talk mean? Does that sound authentic? I can code talk? I respect him being transparent and showing the playbook for what the left was trying to accomplish, as the polls obviously went against Kamala Harris rather quickly, but more from former vice presidential candidate Tim Walz.
Doing that I could put them at ease. I was the permission structure to say, look, you can do this and vote for this. And you look across those swing states, with the exception of Minnesota, we didn't get enough of those votes.
But you could be giving them permission.
So it didn't work.
On TV every day. You could have been messaging that way, and that isn't necessarily how it shook out.
Well, yes, but I also said I understand myself. I said I think I'll give you pretty good stuff, but I'll also give you 10% problematic. And so somebody's got to make the decision here to handle some of this stuff and to make it. And those are just decisions that were made.
He seems to be pointing at those who are running the show behind the scenes. And I will agree with him on that front. I mean, they had told us that Biden was fine for a while. Then all of a sudden, Biden wasn't fine after one debate, even though they had been telling us he was fine for a while. And then they threw in Kamala Harris super quickly. And, I mean, whether you believed in her or thought she was a terrible candidate, like, that wasn't enough time. That wasn't enough time against what Trump had done over the 3 years before. So he's pointing the finger at other people, but also he was the person that was supposed to come in. Talking about code talk for white people. Jesus Christ. Here is more Tim Walz.
And I think after the fact, it is not second guessing or anything. I think it's fair to go back on and look at this. Look, we had the most qualified person who'd run for president in this country's history at the time.
Whoa. That is hyperbole. No matter how you feel about Kamala Harris, the most qualified person that's run for president in the country's history is a very extreme statement to say.
Top of the ticket. That in itself should have got this thing won. We had, in my opinion, and you can disagree with me, I think history will prove me right, a very unqualified person on the other side.
Okay, maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. But, I mean, the guy was a president before. Can you be the most qualified presidential candidate ever compared to a former president? I don't know. Maybe you can. Maybe you can't. So anyway, let's just go back to the idea of authenticity and Tim Walz being brought in because he's supposedly authentic. He's folksy and relatable on TV, after all. If you follow sports, you've known about the narrative about him as a football coach for a while. And they really tried to play into this. They had football-focused interview with Michael Strahan on Good Morning America or whatever show he's on. They had him give a pep talk to the football team that he used to coach. He went pheasant hunting. He was doing all these relatable things to the average man, the white working class man of the United States. But it led to some digging being done and some actually results. So we went from the idea of Tim Walz being that he was a high school football coach who went from coaching a team that had lost 27 straight times to a state championship. Oh, you hear that? You see that? Damn, this guy's a leader. But then we got the specifics. Not to say that he was a bad coach by any means, but more digging was done. Walz was a linebackers coach, then the defensive coordinator. As someone who's played high school football, positional coaches are generally on a volunteer basis, and maybe they know what they're doing. Maybe they don't know what they're doing. But he went from being the linebackers coach to the defensive coordinator, and it was found that he didn't deserve as much credit for the turnaround as the head coach, Rick Sutton, and also two players that were brought in, Eric Stenzel, who was a linebacker, I think, and Chris Boyer, who was a running back. He was more a positive influence, like the good cop to head coach Rick Sutton's bad cop than a strategist, which again, hey, you know what? He was a coach. I'm sure that some players had some really fond memories of him as a coach. I'm not dumping on him for that. But it was portrayed to us that this was this guy who took over a shitty football team and turned them around. And then the more digging that was done, it was found that he also coached linebackers and was an assistant basketball coach at Alliance High School in Nebraska. But he resigned from both roles after a drunk driving incident. Then he moved with his wife back to his hometown, which was in Minnesota. There's a really funny article. It's like a fact check article that was done by thedispatch.com, which was talking about how he might have been fired, Tim Walz, as this assistant coach because of the DUI. And there's some questions about other situations where Walz may have lied. Look at this actually here. I'm showing on thedispatch.com. The post is false. Walz helped coach a high school varsity team. in football, and he wasn't fired from his job because of a DUI. Prior to his almost 2 decades-long career in politics, Walz worked at Mankato West High School in Mankato, Minnesota, where he taught social studies and helped coach the school's varsity football team. In 1999, while Walz was the team's defensive coordinator, Mankato West won the Minnesota AAA Prep Bowl, beating Cambridge Isanti High School 35-28. He wasn't fired from his teaching and coaching roles at Mankato West because of a DUI charge. He stepped back from the positions in 2006 to pursue his career in Congress. Walz, however, was arrested for drunk driving prior to being hired at Mankato West. So he was, in a way, pushed out in Nebraska before eventually getting this job in Minnesota. Right. Okay. So we knew that the authenticity side of Tim Walz was a little bit of a stretch, just because what we were told about him as a high school football coach wasn't entirely truthful from the beginning. A little bit of digging is done on the internet, and yeah, things change a little bit for him. And he also came off as incredibly inauthentic when he played a game of Madden and live streamed it with AOC. First of all, actual NFL games were being played at the same time that he did this live stream. So, of all the many people that he was perhaps trying to reach, who the fuck was going to watch that instead of actual football? And I know some people watch people play video games, but who the fuck was going to actually watch that NFL game? That over an NFL game? Especially when you know that these guys played to a 1/2 0-0 tie before he moved on to Crazy Taxi. They were trying to make people watch them play a video game while talking about politics, but not as focused as they wanted probably to be talking about politics. It's hard to play video games well and talk about policy at the same time. It's hard to talk policy by itself. It's hard to play video games by themselves. You're doing both. Your attention is in 2 different places. You play to a 0-0 tie in the midst of NFL games being played. And, you know, the few people who are going to watch other people play video games while NFL games are on, probably 1, want to watch someone who is actually good at the game. 2, if the person's not good at the game, they want to watch someone who is a personality play the game. 3, they want to watch someone hot play the game. AOC, hot. My bad. She's a strong, powerful, independent woman. But, I mean, what an F you to the people that you're trying to reach out. Live streaming in the midst of an NFL Sunday, offering unbelievable takes and commentary like this. Here's a little clip that Tim Walz posted to his YouTube channel. Look at him. He's wearing the camouflage Minnesota Vikings hat. That'll get the people on his side. I mean, that's a working man hat. It's camouflage and NFL. Hell yeah, dude.
Are we going to play some ball or what are we going to do?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm ready to play. Are you?
I'm ready to get beat.
All right.
Yes, I'm ready.
I'm ready to get beat, I think, by a girl. Okay, listen. Again, if you're trying to relate to the average, like working class, alpha male, you're not about to say, I'm about to get beat. No, you're talking shit. You're playing Madden with a friend. Anyway, more Tim Walz.
Let's do this thing.
Oh, no. You got a good quarterback. You got a good quarterback.
You got a good quarterback. Wow. Riveting.
He is a good quarterback.
I don't know if AOC knows who Josh Allen is. In fact, I don't know if any politician, right or left, knows who's Josh Allen is.
Nice run.
Nice run.
I tried. See, you're a pro though, so you can call these audibles.
Well, I think I know what these guys are doing, but I don't know which damn button to push to make my guy be a beast.
Oh my God. It's clear you don't play video games. Why do you try to do things that you don't know what you're doing in, acting like people are going to find you more authentic for doing stuff like this? Like, I would say this to politicians of all sides. I mean, you know, they tried to make this guy look like an everyman, but I mean, they're doing it with this, you know, enhance. I mean, what are we doing? There he is. He's got a camo hat on, a camo Vikings hat on. Everything seeming so forced. Walz had written on a post on X, Sundays are for football. Game on, AOC. Again, NFL games are taking place at this moment in time. He's got the camo Vikings hat on. And then the worst part of all, I think, for Tim Walz was that this was posted by probably somebody on his staff. AOC can run a mean pick six, and I can call an audible on a play. And we both know that if you're going to take the time to drop a playbook, you're going to use it. And I think they were talking about Project 2025 there. Again, it would help if the left and the right from time to time would employ people that actually know how to talk with other humans. And clearly, that's not what the people who were running Tim Walz's vice presidential campaign were doing. And, you know, ultimately, it came down to this for Tim. I don't think being called Tampon Tim or being called gay by conservative pundits did him in. I don't think running Minnesota during the many George Floyd riots did him in. Ultimately, the guy seemed completely full of shit like many politicians. And here he was just this week, further confirming it with this just bizarre ass line.
I also was on the ticket, quite honestly, you know, because I could code talk to white guys watching football, fixing their truck.
I can code talk to white guys watching football, fixing their truck. Clearly not. Anyway, guys, that's going to wrap up today's edition of the Gallant Says podcast. If you ever have a question, you can email me, gallantsays@gmail.com. We do this thing live on YouTube at Paul Gallant. Like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. On Twitch at Gallant Says. Give me a sub. On X and Twitter at Gallant Says. On Instagram at Sports Gallant. Give me a follow on Facebook at Paul Gallant Sports. Like my page Monday through Friday around 4 p.m. Occasionally after major Houston sporting events as well. We'll do one tomorrow night after Rockets-Warriors Game 6. It's also available wherever you get your podcasts. So if you haven't already, subscribe, rate, and review me on Apple and on Spotify. If you roast my ass, I will read it. Until tomorrow, so long, farewell, and have yourselves a wonderful Thursday. Peace!